Good morning. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk to Me Africa. Today is special because we're talking about something that has a lot of value. We want to talk about real estate, investing in real estate. And I have a real estate investor guru here with all the expert knowledge to educate us about what it takes to invest in real estate and how you can go about it, especially here in the United States of America and also in the Caribbean. By the way, congratulations, Joseph, on getting your first real estate property out of the United States, in the Caribbean specifically.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Nice introduction. I will be humble and I wouldn't say that I am a guru, but you could say that, but I wouldn't say I'm a guru.
The
Thank
knowledge
you.
you have, I'll call you a guru. Anyway, before I get into the crux of the matter today, can we hear a fun fact about Joseph?
Yeah, so one thing that I do like how do you call it? Skiing. Okay, that's one thing I do. I
What?
do do. Yep. And I also, even though I'm not good at it, but I do try and play a little bit of a guitar here and there.
Look, the guitar I'll get, but the skiing I would never have guessed.
Yeah.
How
It's
often do you ski and where do
if
you
it's
do it?
if it's winter time, there's you don't have too much to do, so it's better to, at least to go outside rather than be in the house. So
Now,
my
wait, are you talking about real skiing or just playing on the snow?
skiing, like I go to I don't have my equipment here.
That's
Um,
fine. You do go
but
to the rink and
then
do some skiing,
yes,
the ice
just
rink.
yeah, to like Mount Wachusett. So
That I'm very impressed. Anyway, full disclosure, Joseph and I met at work, and so we got to talk about real estate, and I thought you had some very important information to share with us here today. And Joseph, you are from Liberia originally. Tell us about your upbringing.
yeah, so I was born in Liberia, and I like to say that we went to I know several places in West Africa because that's so I was born in Liberia, but then we had a war that
Yeah.
was in Liberia, I
Mhm.
believe April 6th, 1996, I believe. Um, so we also during that time we kind of migrated to different areas. So I went over to my aunt and her husband took me and my brother, and so we went over to Ghana.
Mhm.
Well, went to Togo, Benin, Ghana, and then Nigeria.
Mhm.
And then yeah, and after so we went to different places. Uh, so after the war, we went back to to Liberia, and then from there, we were able to come to Ghana, and then from Ghana, we were able to migrate over here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you make a story in Cameroon where I'm from?
I wish I went there. Maybe that's the place I need to go.
You need to. Anyway, now let's talk about why we're here. Real estate. Thank you, Comfort, for joining. She says that is a great topic and I'm all ears. Yes, please bring questions. I'm all ears and as well. I'm talking about this and I have no knowledge about real estate investment, but we're here to learn together. What got you interested in real estate investment?
Well, for a long time, I've been interested in real estate just because hear that real estate is actually they keep saying that it is one of the sure ways to gain a level of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Especially there's a huge disparity between, people of color, and let's say, for lack of a better term, like, white. And so one of the biggest reason is also because of real estate. There's less of people of color who has real estate. And
Mm-hmm.
once you have real estate, like because of appreciation,
Yeah.
you're able to generate more wealth. So I was like, you know what, let me try and see if I can get into it. But then initially I was thinking I wanted to do something else. Before real estate, those were always the two things. One was real estate, the other one was to perform like a web design, to
Mm.
make to make websites. But then doing that, which is good, but then it takes time,
Mm.
But real estate, you just buy it and then you're at least you gain equity.
You're
So
right. Yeah,
yeah,
that's one investment which always appreciates.
exactly,
Always appreciate. And so
exactly.
what type do you invest in? Is it commercial, industrial? Do you just do land?
So So for now, it is like residential. Uh,
Residential.
right. So that's what I'm doing now. Been trying, speaking with other investors to
Hmm.
see if we can get into commercial. But for now, at least it's residential.
So what does it take for you to start? Okay, you're in America and you want to get a property for residential. Where do I start? How much do I need?
Well, then that's why usually I would ask a question because I could just make up anything, just tell you that, oh, you need to bring, that 20% down that they tell you, or you need to bring a 3.5% down. But I want to see like what is it that you actually want? What do you want to buy? What type of property are you
Property.
interested in?
Hmm.
And how much do you have to bring down? So the generally is like if you bring 20% down, that is so much better because then you don't have to pay the PMI. You can just continue
Hmm.
and like you already have enough that's already down. So but I would say someone who's starting out definitely want to pay the least amount of money out of pocket as possible. So I would say 3.5% down. And I would recommend, yeah, so that's what I would say. And I'll probably say get multifamily in the beginning.
Hmm. Multi-family unit, so you can rent the different units to different families and maybe even live in one. So is it advisable for somebody who wants to start to buy a multi-family unit and then live in a unit and then rent the others and then, go from there?
Yeah, so that's actually advisable. That's way better than just buying one family and then
Hmm.
having to work, double or triple just to be
Hmm.
able to pay it off. But if you have multifamily, um, and then you have someone else renting, that person is at least either paying off your mortgage or at least paying a huge portion towards the
Of your
mortgage.
rent. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. That's
yeah.
absolutely true. I mean, it's so smart of you to have come from Africa and then learn this so quickly and start investing in it. So how did you start? For somebody who is in your shoes, I just came from Africa, I've been here for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I want to get into real estate investment. What will you tell them? Where should they begin? Getting the knowledge to start with.
So, there are like many sources out there that you could do, but I would say, don't just watch the YouTube videos.
Right?
YouTube videos, they don't tell you the mode, like, things that are happening in the background. They only tell you the surface level, and
Hmm.
then you go and you think, oh yeah, now I know what to do. You don't know until you actually know. So I would recommend having a mentor. That's something I would definitely recommend it first. And to find those mentors, of course, you still need to use the internet. There are
Hmm.
people on the internet that you can see, but don't just put your money on a mentor. You got to kind of, ask them questions, try to, and get as much understanding and maybe get some evidence to make sure that
Hmm.
they're actually doing what they say they do.
Yes.
So you can even look, but if you wanted to look at some YouTube videos, you could look at, let's say, Pace Morby. He's one who is really good at he talks a lot about different strategies of real estate. And
Hmm.
so yeah, so that would be one person. But like I said, there are many others. You can just go online and then you'll be able
Hmm.
to find them.
Yeah.
And
So what you're saying is do
also,
your research first before you
right, and
just believe in what somebody is saying.
exactly. And also, I would say that every city in the United States have their own group.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Of real estate investors?
yes, real
Okay.
estate. So you can definitely look online, and they also have their Facebook groups as well. So you can search online to see like my real estate investors in
In
X
your
city.
area.
It might be Rhode
Hmm.
Island, it might be Worcester, it might be like North Carolina, Florida, wherever they are there, and then you can start to go to those meetings and meet these people.
Hmm.
It does take work, but you can do that little by little, and then you get
Hmm.
to see people who's actually doing it, and there are also a bunch of people who wants to learn how to do it who are also there.
That's awesome. Is there a time to start? Let's say, how do I gauge the market and say I want to get into real estate investment, but I'm not sure if this is the right time to start. How do I understand the market so I can know when to start?
I do kind of like joking around with this, where I would say the best time to start is now. Okay.
Mm.
So meaning that there is really not any good time and any bad time. Like, well, let's
Mhm.
say you have the housing, let's say you have your interest rate is so high, or you see the house prices are so high, and so regardless, everything is, whether let's say the housing market the price is high, but then the interest rate is low, it kind of
Mhm.
cancels out, or
Yeah.
vice versa also cancels
Mhm.
out. So
Mhm.
it really doesn't matter. The only thing that you will be doing if you don't invest now, you will be, that potential return that you could make, you will be losing
You're
that.
losing on it. Yeah.
Exactly. So the
Mhm.
best time is to get it. And obviously, when the housing market collapse, uh,
Mhm.
if you have money, some liquid, that would be the perfect time, obviously.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
everything, like the prices are so low, it's just that it takes time to get low, so you have to kind of, um some people like to wait, but they're waiting for 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
All that time they could have been gaining equity, but
Mhm.
they're not gaining equity. So
Mhm.
that's why I would say the best time is just to get in there, even though let's say you're still paying a little bit, but you gain equity. And by the time it's time to sell, you have something. And if you're doing renting,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Now talk about what you actually, I mean, when I was doing researching for this show, I found out about buying property and flipping them, or buying and holding them. What's the difference if you buy and you flip, or you buy and you hold? How can you buy and hold? First of all, I was asking, like, how do you even do that? Because you want to make money out of it. And they say
Yeah.
buy and hold. What does that mean in real estate?
Yeah. So if you're buying and holding is, let's say you buy the house and
Hmm.
you don't intend to, let's say, sell the house with any time, like within five years or less, right? You just keep that house there for as much as you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the lamest term, that is buying and holding. You literally just, you purchase that house, you stay there, maybe you have people renting it, you're maintaining it, but everything, the equities keeps going up, and you're not selling that house. So that's
Mm-hmm.
literally you just holding that. So you are gaining money from that house.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you are not flipping the house. It's completely different from flipping.
Okay. So
Um,
the flipping is when you buy the house and you renovate every or most things in the house to sell.
exactly. So the people who do flipping, they're able to get money quicker, okay, than
Mm-hmm.
the buying and holding. Um, but you're not getting, once again, you're not getting equity. Equity is what makes you rich.
Yeah.
But so those who, let's say you do flipping, is
Mm-hmm.
great way to generate quick income. So you buy the house. Let's say you hear this story all the time. I'll just do like a little bit synopsis. You get a house that's cost, let's say, it's $100,000,
Mm-hmm.
and but it needs about, let's say, $50,000 worth of repair. So now you get the money. It's $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
Repair. Once you're done, and then the ARV, right, after repair value, now becomes, let's say, $250,000,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So now you subtract that entire $150,000 that you put into it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you get that other, let's say, $100,000, that's profit right there,
From the
right?
sales here.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and this would be because you either sell the house or you refinance the house, and then you're able to take out that equity, and then you can use that money and then buy another house, and you just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Or like you either buy another house or but that's one way people do that, and that's a great way to generate a lot of income, but it's also a lot of work. You
A lot
gotta
of work.
communicate
Yeah.
with contractors. You gotta speak with other investors. You gotta see what type of interest rate, and yes, your interest rate will be a little bit more higher too. But
Mm-hmm.
that's also a great way to generate quick income. Whereas buy and hold, you literally just buy it once, you just hold on to it, and then you either refinance and take the money from there after you like repair it after so
Mm-hmm.
many years, use that money and buy other properties.
Wow, when I call you a guru in the beginning, you say I'm not a guru. You're talking like somebody who's been doing this for such a long time. And I'm happy you began by saying that you got into real estate because you realize that that is one of the ways that most people can make money, especially those of us who are immigrants or those who are not white, right? Because the disparity in wealth has a history in America where we live. And it's very important that somebody like you who come from Africa easily realizes that, hey, for me to be able to get to a certain level, I need to get into real estate. Now, you mentioned the word equity, which is what we hear a lot people use when they are talking about real estate. For somebody who does not know what equity is, what would you say it is in a layman's word, in a
So
layman's
the
term?
layman's term will be equity will be, let's say, how much you you have a house that you put maybe, let's say the house value is $600,000, right? Out of that 600,000, you had that for several years, and then you have paid, let's say, about, let's say, $300,000. So now you have $300,000 left into the house to pay it off, right? But now the value of that house is, let's say, 700,000 or 800, let's say $800,000, right? So now you have $300,000 left into it, but the house value is $800,000. So if you subtract, now you technically have $200,000 equity, because initially the house was worth $600,000, right? But now it's worth $200,000, right? So you have $200,000 profit. But then if you were to let's subtract, let's say, because you only have 300,000,
that you need to pay off for the house.
right? So now your entire equity in the house would be your 800,000 minus 300,000.
Minus 300,000 that you've paid off
Right,
and whatever you left.
right.
So would you say to a layman that equity is the money that you make out of owning a property
Yeah. So
as it
that
appreciates?
100%. So as it keeps on appreciating, that's where you're making the most amount of money. You make more money from equity than you do from renting. Because if a house, once again, let's say you have that $600,000 house, you're making about $24,000 a year profit from those who are renting. Within 5 years, right? Let me see if I can, because I'm not that. Let's see, 25
Math
times.
is not your forte, huh? Anyway, hello, Deirdre. Thank you for joining. She says this is very important. This is a very popular thing. I agree, popular, but how many people are using it? If it's very popular, right? People are like, oh, they think it's a lot of money you need and certain time of the year for you to start this kind of project, real estate investment. But you just said the time is now. So it's popular. So let's use it and let's talk more about it so people get to know about it. Yeah, and
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And so, like I was saying previously, so if you getting $25,000 profit from the renting, now this is after you pay your mortgage and everything, right? But after 5 years, you have $125,000 profit, right? But because of equity, let's say you're getting, out of that 5 years, your house had increased, let's say, by 300,000. So you
Yes.
make more money from equity than from the renting,
And
you know?
equity is that money that you can actually take out. You can go to the bank and say, hey, can I take that 200,000 francs? France. I'm using my Cameroon currency. Yeah. Can I take that $200,000 out of this house?
Only if you are selling the house or you are refinancing the house. And once you do that, now, excuse me, it's not that your mortgage resets, but just know that if you withdraw that money, you will have to pay it back.
More
Exactly. So you
over
may
time.
exactly.
Okay.
So just be careful that most people, what they do is they take that equity and then they buy another house. Okay. Because then by you buying the other house, that house is going to give you more money as well, and also help you out with your taxes. So that's what some people do. Or you can just sell the house. Now you don't have the house, but you have that money, and then you can do whatever you want with that money.
So this is interesting because I mean I am from Africa, you are from Africa. We don't have a mortgage system in most African countries. You buy a piece of land, you build your house, it
Yeah,
stays in your family. Nobody asks you for property tax or anything. The home where I grew
exactly.
up in Cameroon, it is our house. I have never seen somebody say, hey, property tax A, B, or C. You renovated, it's your house. The
Yep,
most you spend, it's out of pocket. If the
exactly.
land is it costs $10,000, if your family can afford it, you pay the money, that's it. If to build a house is $500,000, you build a house, that is it.
That's
There's
it.
no mortgage system, there's no tax for property. So coming to America, a lot of us Africans get a little bit lost. Like, okay, why do I have to say I bought a house that I'm paying the bank for it? And so you get to understand that is because it's not a cash and carry system. It's a credit system where you have to
Yep,
build credibility, trust for the bank to be able to finance the property
Exactly.
for you. And so
Exactly.
getting into that, when you do that for yourself and you also do that for commercial purposes, you get to make money out of that. So equity seems to be very elusive when you talk about it. It's not something you can see or you can touch. Credit is also very elusive. People say, oh, do you have credit to buy something? You don't have the money, but you have the reputation of borrow and pay back so that you can be
Exactly.
able to be trusted by the financial institutions that would say, okay, Joseph bought his first property, he's making his payments, and now he wants to buy a second one. Can we trust him to keep doing that? That is exactly, what we're trying to educate ourselves here about. Now, let's talk about your recent investment. I've been thinking about going to visit DR for a long time, Dominican Republic for a long time, but planning has always failed because of where do I stay? Where do I spend my days in that country? I have a very good friend there who says, oh, I'll pick you up, but yeah, but where do I stay? And then we look for property of where to stay. They're very expensive. When I talk to you about your recent acquisition in DR, I said, I have to go visit because I have Joseph. He has a property. He'll give me the keys. I'll just go and stay, and easy said and done. What is the process of getting a property in the Caribbean like you did when you are not from that country, specifically
It's
the Dominican
actually
Republic,
it's actually not too far of a difference from how it is here.
in the United States?
Yeah. Um, and obviously the US dollar holds a lot of weight in
In
many other
India.
countries, right?
Yeah.
So, but what I did is that I um did some research on to see what type of well, I try to figure out what type of house I want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and or like what type of apartment or condo that I want. And
Mm-hmm.
then I went over and find a realtor who she looks for the apartments because I
Yeah.
don't live there obviously, right? So she looks for them and then she will send them to me. Um, and then I so once I got it, I would keep seeing which ones, and then ones that I saw that I liked,
So you
I
had an
told
agent back in the DR who would send sample properties to you to pick from.
exactly.
Okay.
So when she does that, I looked at it and I saw one that I was interested in. And so I decided to go over and
Take
told
a
her
look.
that I wanted to purchase that. So she has the video and everything, right? She sent it to me, and then the pricing and everything. So then I decided I also at my work here, there is someone who we also work with, and he is actually from the DR. He's also does the same thing where he buys properties over there as well and over here as well. And so he recommended me to one of the builder, but then because I at some point I want to build, but for now I said let me just start with buying. So then
Mm.
I asked the builder of a reputable lawyer. So then they show me a lawyer, and then that's the lawyer I then use to mediate from between me and the contractor who's building the property over in the DR, along with the realtor as well. So once they came and we had
Mm.
created a contract, and then I went over there, took a look at the property. I said, okay, okay, I would like to, and I got a property that was being built, not one that was already built. And then that's when I went over and paid for that property.
Impressive. So is the property out for public use, commercial purposes already, or you're still putting it together?
Yeah, so I am still putting to put like a furniture into it, and then I will start to use that, for Airbnb.
Please let me know when it's ready because that's going to be my first. That's to be one of
Definitely.
your first guests to stay in that Airbnb, and it's in the capital city of DR, which is Santo Domingo.
Exactly. Santo Domingo, it is like about 5 minutes from the beach. Dominican Republic is an island.
Mhm.
And it's like 5 minutes from the beach, and it's also within the same like 5 minutes from the airport. So
Mhm. So for someone who's listening and wants to think about going over and thinking about the cost of renting an Airbnb, what is the price range you think that would be given for this property?
So from where I am, the place that I have the property, one of the like when I went over there to look at the house, I saw that people are also renting that even on Airbnb. I checked too, it's for like $100 per night. Yeah. And then
Is
there are
that
other
a
places.
single bed?
Um, it, well, yeah, they do have mine is 3 beds.
Okay.
But so it's for the apartment, right? So, um, they do have it from what the lady from what I saw it was I think she had like a 3 bed,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes like I said, obviously they'll just close the door and say, okay, this is the apartment here.
Mm-hmm.
You can get
Mm-hmm.
anywhere from
Different
60 something.
sections, yeah.
Exactly, maybe 60 something per bed, or
Okay.
maybe depending on what you have as well. It's
Okay.
Airbnb, everyone pretty much make your own
Yeah.
price.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so you have anywhere from 60 to, if you go to a higher end, it could go up. It goes high up.
It could go higher, yeah. It could go
Yeah,
really higher. But I mean, this is very laudable what you're doing. Very laudable what you're
exactly.
doing. Now, are
And
there, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, speaking of equity, I was able to use the equity from my current one of like the current property here to buy that property over
Purchase the
there.
one in DR. Look at
Yep.
that. So again, like we said earlier, real estate is the one sector of investment that always appreciates. You rarely hear of real estate investors losing money. The market could crash once in 10 years or once in 20 years, but there's always potentials of making more money. And you, being an African immigrant, doing this is very inspiring to many people to know that there's something you can do to get ahead of the curve and make some more money, you know. Um, Kathy says online that equity is unrealized gains on your property. That's correct.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
it's kind of a dormant income that you're making. It's just appreciating while you're sleeping. You don't have to
That's
sweat. You don't have to
exactly.
sweat for it. This
So
this
you
is
may
very
you may even have heard of the phrase that house rich but cash poor.
house rich but cash poor. Yeah, because you
Right.
have equity, but you don't have the actual cash.
Exactly. But you can always, sell it whenever you want to sell it, or
Hmm.
you can also refinance and take that equity out. Or you can do like, he loan, and just take that equity out as well.
Hmm.
So there are
Hmm.
many other ways to take that money out as quick as you need it. I would recommend that don't take the money out quickly.
Take you for
That
another investment.
exactly
That's what you
save it,
did.
wait until the equity is increased, and then use that money to purchase more property. And
Hmm.
that property will get equity as well, and just keep doing
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this show is called Talk to Me Africa, and you and I are from Africa. Any plans, any hopes, any vision of doing some similar investment in Africa? Maybe Liberia, where you were born, or Ghana, I mean, Nigeria, where you spent some time before you came to America.
Yeah, so I actually do have a property in Liberia. So I mean, I've been here for the longest part of my life, right?
Mhm.
So I know that I'll go there to visit, but so I do have property over there as well, just like I have like the DR, but the one I have over there is pretty much for families, so that they can at least have something to be in, uh,
That's
and they
the
can.
African dream. Many of us do that.
Exactly. So because I'm not going there to live there right now,
But I'm talking
maybe
about
at some.
investment property in Liberia, for example. You build like an apartment complex, people can rent and pay you for staying in there.
Yeah, and so that's actually one of the main reasons why even in trying to figure out ways to gain some extra income, just so
Hmm.
that I can be able to um generate something in Liberia that will be able to help many other people there who
Absolutely.
are not able to benefit, because
Yeah.
many over there unfortunately do not have all of the benefits that we take for granted over
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
So I decided that let me at least start with the DR, because in the US obviously, because there you can generate more income,
Hmm.
and then you
Quicker.
can use that money
Hmm.
exactly, and then to purchase more, do more investments in Liberia,
Hmm.
or in certain parts of Africa where you don't have that much, income that you'll be able to get.
Oh. This has been so insightful and so educational. I wish I could continue talking, but I have to talk to Lindsay Maza at 1 o'clock. Lindsay is physically handicapped and she became a lawyer, spent 11 years in a law, and then she quit because after her father passed away, she wanted to help other people. And she's a personal coach. Her story is very inspirational. So do not leave, but stick around for my chat with Lindsay in about 5 minutes. Before I let you go, Joseph, I ask you to bring an African proverb to share with us today. Do you have one?
African
He
proverb.
was like, I have left Africa a very long time ago. So I,
So I guess I want to talk about like the story of like Anansi.
a proverb or any wise word. Yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't have to be African proverb.
Right. So the Anansi in Africa they talk a lot about Anansi and there's different variations of Anansi. But
Hmm.
Anansi, happened to be one of the spider who went over to he was so greedy, and so he went over to his friend's house. His friend's like, oh, I have food here, why don't you come over and eat at this time? He's like, okay, I will hold up, I will come back because his food was not ready. So he told them that, hold up, I will come back, but I will give you a string and tie it to his legs. That And then he went over to other friend's house, and his friend said the same thing. He said, okay, I will eat again, but he never said, oh, I have place to go out, I will
Hmm.
at this time. No, and every food was going to be done at the same time at 12 o'clock, right? So he did that to pretty much all of the different friends in all different locations, right? And so he was just sitting down. It's like, yeah, I'm so smart. I'm just gonna sit down, and once the food come, I don't have to cook anything, and then I would just go over and eat everywhere. My friends are like they're not as smart as me. But while he was waiting, the time came for the lunch. Everyone made their food at the exact same time. So they each kept on tugging on his legs, each of his legs, right? And he couldn't go any other area
No,
because
it's
yeah, they
stuck.
target, right? And they essentially like pull off like all of the different parts of his
Part of
body
his, yeah.
so wide until
Oh,
he ended up having these legs that we consider now as the spider legs,
spider legs. That's why they're
right?
wider. That is,
Exactly.
you know
And so
what?
that shows that don't be greedy,
Mhm.
And so that's something I try to think about, that hey, no matter what, just try to not be greedy because you don't want, to be in that situation where everyone, you
Yeah,
could be able to benefit from one thing,
that's
So
right.
that's something I've been thinking. Yeah.
Awesome. They call it sometimes you're double dipping. You feel like you want to just get from everywhere where you did not really invest in. Well, Joseph, when the property in DR is ready, let me know. We might talk about it here again, but trust me, I'm going to be one of your very first guests to stay over at your property in the DR. Thank you so much for being here on Talk to Me Africa today. I'll see you
Thank
later.
you. Thanks to everyone.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Bye.